Notre Dame is number one.
Notre Dame with a miracle win as the clock
going
runs
in.
out.
Notre Dame has scored.
Good day and welcome to the University of Notre Dame Brian Kelly conference call. For today's call, if you'd like to ask a question, please signal by pressing star key followed by the digit 1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Also, if you pressed star 1 earlier during today's call, please press star 1 again to ensure your equipment has captured our signal. And we'll pause a moment to allow everyone an opportunity to signal. We'll take our first question from Eric Hansen with the South Bend Tribune.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good morning. Great, thanks.
Good. Hey, you. Last night I was wondering about Jamor Slaughter's situation, but also your back end of your defense has played 2 games with him missing large chunks of it. Can you talk about, the way they played without him, and then also what his prognosis is?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. The last couple of weeks we've played a lot of football without him, especially in the second half, and times where teams are throwing the football, and we've done a nice job there. It's unfortunate we're going to lose him for the year. He has a torn Achilles tendon, and he'll be out for the year. He'll have surgery this week.
Okay. Also, someone asked you a little bit about Manti after the game, what his plans are. Does it look like you're going to be able to get him home for the bye week?
Yes, we are. We just started to detail out some of the arrangements for him, and it looks like we'll be able to get him out to Hawaii on the bye week. And I think it's probably going to be closer to Tuesday or Wednesday of the bye week. So he'll be here for a couple of practice days for preparation as well.
You got a lot of mileage, it seems like, the last couple days out of a couple young defensive linemen, Sheldon Day and Tony Springman. Can you talk about those 2 guys?
Yeah, I think, they obviously, bring a lot. We've played a lot of players, and we got a rotation there that really works well for us. It keeps the guys, fresh. And Sheldon obviously is, a guy that has got great athletic ability, but can also, stand in there against teams that want to run the football. Tony's just a big athletic. He's long, and both of those freshmen provide us some really good depth at the defensive line.
Brian, you mentioned last night the growth potential for your offense. You felt like it could continue to get better through the season. Maybe what specific areas are you looking for, not just in personnel, but maybe from a formation standpoint and being able to extend the playbook a little bit more?
I would not, that's not the first place that we're looking. It's the execution of what we have currently installed. We had too many opportunities to put points on the board and to get the kind of production we need. And a lot of it is in the quarterback's development, and again, he did some really good things, but we've got a long way to go. He needs to continue to stay on task, Everett, and continue to develop each and every week. But there's a lot of things. We are so far from where we need to be offensively, and I think a lot of it is just in the stuff that we're doing right now. We don't need to extend the playbook any deeper.
And then the last thing from me, Brian, I know you've had big wins other places, Cincinnati and Central Michigan and Grand Valley, and at some point you've been able to catalyze those big wins into championships or breakthrough seasons and so forth. What do you feel like as a coach is the key to making this not just an isolated win but something to build on?
Don't get infected with success. It's easy to forget how you got here. It's easy to listen to how great you are, and we've got to avoid the noise and stay disciplined on the process. If we do that, we'll be pretty good in November.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from Mark Lazarus of Chicago Sun-Times.
Brian, you're looking at you've now lost 2 starters in the secondary. You got 3 really young guys in there, converted offensive players. Is that a point that you're nervous about, or do you think you have the guys that can handle that against the guys you got coming up?
No, that doesn't. I mean, those are things that coaches have to deal with all over the country. I think we're really pleased with the game. That Matthias Farley can go in there and do a solid job for us. Kavari Russell has probably been the guy that really makes us feel pretty good about what's going on. He was challenged in some one-on-one matchups, came out of it on a positive note. I think what we're seeing is the development of some really young players that can be really good players for us. So I think if you're worried, if you feel like you have to hide them out there, we don't need to hide those guys. They just need to continue to develop.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
We'll take our next question from Pete Sampson with Irish Illustrated.
Brian, I want to ask you specifically about Elijah Shoemate in terms of the progress he's made as kind of your nickelback and what you've seen from him.
He's extremely athletic. He's got a great sense of the game. He understands the game of football. And I think he makes up for any lack of knowledge of our defense with just being a savvy, smart player, and one that's really, as you know, very gifted. So we wanted to get him involved because of those characteristic traits that I just mentioned. We needed to get him involved in the game, and the easiest way for us to get him in and make an impact is in that nickel position, because we're not going to ask you to do a ton of things. And we want that to kind of parlay itself into, more roles, whether it be corner or safety. As you know, we could probably play either. We want to continue to develop him as we move down the road. But it starts with he's got a real keen football instinct, and he's a gifted player.
Your inside linebackers in coverage last night, I guess, is that about as well as they've played? Is that guys just getting older, or is that something you emphasized during the week?
Well, we really emphasized to get on body. In other words, we gave up a little bit too much space. We were spot dropping a little bit too much. Coach Diaco really emphasized this week of getting on body. In other words, getting hands on receivers and being more aggressive with them. And I thought it paid off on a number of instances. And in particular, our will linebacker only got, there was one play where the tight end, they ran a little hammer play where they faked the run and throw it. Other than that, we did a nice job on body, especially with the will linebacker.
I don't know if this is a benefit of the Purdue game and how they matched up with you, or just what Michigan State shows, but kind of the, schematics of your run game last night with some of the delays and change of directions. Is that just getting Sear back, or is that kind of something you felt like that's an X's and O's adjustment you needed to make?
No, I think it was more fit for the opposition than it was, Sear back in the game. Certainly Sear adds a great dimension to what we're doing, but it was more, they're very difficult to hit north and south, so you really have to try to get these guys. And we don't run a lot of counter plays per se, so we have to change direction schematically based upon what the opponent shows us and what we're going to be doing. As you know, we sprinted out quite a bit, so we needed some of that change of direction.
Lastly, for me, I'm not sure if Eric asked this or not, but Sheldon Day, in terms of his knee or hamstring, I wasn't sure what happened there after he batted down the pass. I mean, he came back in, but did you get an idea of what happened there?
Yeah, he's got a bone bruise, and it wasn't. I think people were talking about him, jumping up on the sideline. It happened a series earlier, and he played and he finished the game. He should be fine.
Thanks.
We'll take our next question from Brian Hamilton with Chicago Tribune.
Brian, kind of getting back to that idea of not getting infected with success. A couple of the guys last night said you tried to bring them back down to earth a little bit, even in the locker room afterwards. I'm wondering if that sounds like what a lot of coaches would do after a big win to get a team refocused, or was that something you really felt like you needed to do specifically with this team in this situation?
Yeah. No, I wanted to enjoy the victory, but I wanted to kind of set the landscape for where we are, and Michigan coming in this week, and then we have a bye week. So I was really trying to give them a bigger picture of where we are and, keep the focus. We've got a week here, stay on task, and then you've got the week off, and we begin the second third of the season. So my comments were more, I was trying to give them a little bit of a bigger picture of where we are. and then we'll start to drill down again on, the distractions and avoiding the noise and all those things, and we've begun doing that already.
How so? I mean, did you meet with them today and talk about that sort of stuff, rankings, nearly in the top 10 and all that?
Absolutely. I think you have to, obviously, they're 18 to 21-year-olds, and you need to continue to remind them about where they are and how they got here, and there's no other really recipe than just staying focused on day to day because of the way we've operated here. And if we start changing that now, we'll be in for some issues later.
And last year, this was a similar week with USC. I think by the end of it, after the game, you talked about guys not rising to the occasion. What did you learn from the hype, the build-up of that week, night game at USC, that you want to either correct or tweak or whatever this week, night game, Michigan?
I think, the distractions that come with, playing at home and making sure that our guys are focused solely on the next practice. And so I think we learned from all the experiences, and a lot of these guys went through the USC experience, and we didn't play our best football. So I think they all look. I don't know that there's many times that after a really good win on the road, when I mentioned Michigan, everybody's attention was to that Michigan game. So I think they understand this is a group that has learned by their mistakes as well, and not just players but coaches. So moving forward, I think we've learned from the experiences over the last couple of years that we've got to stay focused and away from the distractions.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
As a reminder, it is star one to ask a question. We'll take our next question from Wes Morgan with Blue and Gold Illustrated.
Hey, Brian. Kona Schwenke got the start yesterday, and obviously he's playing a lot, so that's not a huge surprise. But was that just to kind of throw him a bone, get him a start, or was there something more to that?
No, just they both have done such a great job. We want to make sure that our players are rewarded. It was just 3 plays, but it was more about just Kona's done a great job, and we want to make sure we appreciate his work too.
What have you seen, I guess kind of evaluate Ben Koyak's play through 3 games and what you'd like to see from him moving forward?
I think just more of a consistent approach. He does some really good things, and he's a young guy that he really has to be focused on the little things during the week, and he's coming, and we need him. We desperately need him to continue to play for us at a higher level. He's getting better. He cares. He's got to be more consistent at the position, in particular blocking, and that's what we ask him to do for us. And he's committed. He's a good teammate. He's just got to continue to grow, and he is each and every week.
How would you say the defense responded to kind of the change-up 2-minute offense from Michigan State? Obviously, they had to move. They had to pick up the tempo sooner than they had probably planned, but it seemed like the team reacted pretty well to that.
Yeah, we had to get going quicker. They definitely moved the tempo, but if Michigan State is in a high-tempo offense, we probably got them where we want them.
Is Capron? Is he still a little banged up? He looked like he wasn't quite 100% last night.
No, he wasn't. He fought through it. Had a big pass rush and hit on the quarterback late in the game. Kept plugging, fighting through it. Some other guys might have tapped out. He kept fighting through it, and I think in his own mind, I think he's reaching new levels as to what he can do and fighting through this calf injury. He's better today than he was when he started the game, so that was a really good sign. We think we'll get him close to 100% this week.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll take our next question from Tom Coyne with the Associated Press.
Yeah, Coach, after the game last night, you talked about how the game could be a confidence builder. Now you're talking about, the white noise and the worry about overconfidence. Is there a fine line there, and how do you monitor it?
Yeah, I think you want both. I think you want your team with confidence, and you want people to talk about your team and sense that this is a big game. Those are the things that coaches want to try to balance, because if you don't have confidence and nobody cares, that's not a good place to be. So these are the dynamics that come with building a program, and when you're starting to win some games, these are the things that all coaches want to work on. So yes, it is a fine line, and one that I feel confident that we can manage.
Thank you.
We'll take our next question from David Van Tress with Goshen News.
Good afternoon, Coach. I'd like to talk a little bit about Manti's performance last night. Obviously, a pretty gutsy performance under some pretty tough circumstances. Talk a little bit about that and what things the team is doing to support him in what's obviously a pretty rough time.
Yeah, his play. We talked about last week after the Purdue game that we wanted to raise the standards and that we make sure that we hold each other to those standards. Manti didn't believe he played up to the standards, and he may have been right. And so he had set some new standards of his play. Then he had some obviously terrible things happen in his life, and he was still able to maintain those high standards. That makes for a remarkable young man, that he can play the game at a higher level than what many people thought was pretty good anyway, amidst some personal tragedy. So. Yeah, how do you put it in words? He's just, at Notre Dame, you get a chance to coach a kid like this, and it might be, once in a lifetime, and that's the kind of kid he is.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll take our next question from Matt Fortuna with ESPN.com.
Hi, Brian. How impressed were you with Ben Turk's performance in a game like yesterday's, where field position was such a vital role, and how has he developed over the last 2 years?
Yeah, our special teams played a large role in flipping the field. I think Michigan State had average starting field position at their 20-yard line. So that was absolutely crucial to the success that we had. And I think you need all three phases if you're going to win a game on the road against Michigan State. He's progressed. I think we all saw signs of that at the end of last year. I thought he's had a great offseason. His mind has been so focused on being consistent. And we're getting that kind of play from him, and obviously Kyle Brinza as well in terms of kicking the ball out of the end zone. I think he was 4 for 5 on kickoffs that went, out of the back of the end zone, and of course the field goal. So our two specialists have really impacted the football game.
Does Farley slide right into Slaughter's role? Can you talk a little bit about the reshuffling of the secondary now with that injury?
Yeah, I mean, you lose a Jamore Slaughter, you lose an A player, and Matthias is certainly not at the level yet of a Jamore Slaughter. He's got to continue to develop, but we have a lot of confidence and trust in him, and he'll be getting a lot of work back there. So, we'll have to continue to develop him, but we have a lot of confidence in him.
Is DeVar still a little banged up, or are we kind of nursing him a little bit yesterday?
Yeah, I would say that he was not 100%. He did get some reps in there. He looked pretty good, and then we had a little bit of a setback on Friday with him, and we practiced him and ran him around Saturday over at Lansing Catholic Central in our walkthrough, and he looked pretty good. He looked like he bounced back. But we had already kind of set our personnel grouping, so we hope to have him full go this week.
Thanks, man.
There are no further questions at this time.
Great. Thanks, everyone. We will have a transcript on our website later this afternoon.